Okay, I refuse to continue to give my dignified greeting for this YouTube show until the Giants show a level of dignity and respectability in the way they play. I mean, of course, until they win. They not only lost to the Diamondbacks yesterday, but they blew their lead. And they not only blew their lead, they did so in the 8th inning. You go through this, they had the lead twice, by the way. You go through this situationally with me, think about it. So you're a team that is in the 8th inning of your game, and you have a lead by a score of 2-1. So you would have to just get through 2 more innings to win your game, okay? So you're 2-1, you're ahead, and you're in the 8th inning. You have also just lost 5 games, and you have a close record. You are holding on to a hair-thin winning record. Well, the basic definition of that game is that it is something you have to win. If you're ahead, specifically in the late innings, you have to win that game. There is no other option about it. So remember, the situation we're talking about, it was exactly the Giants. Your winning percentage is razor thin, and you're in the 8th inning. You're leading by 1 run. Your bullpen has to lock down the game. You have to win that game. The scenario I just had you imagine is exactly the scenario the Giants were in last night. So they got a run on a sacrifice fly in the early innings of the game. And then Alex Wood, he pitched a nice start yesterday. I was glad to see that. What Alex Wood really needed to overcome yesterday was his tendency to fail the 3rd time through the lineup. And you can see why that would be an issue for some pitchers, because batters really get used to you, and then they start sometimes hitting off of you. That can be an issue when batters start getting used to a specific pitcher. The 3rd time through the lineup can be the time when they know what pitches he is going to throw, and they know how to foul them off until they get the one they can hit. And it can be some hard work. But Alex Wood pitched well. 5 innings on 1 run. He couldn't quite hold the lead through the 5th inning, but I call that a good start. So that's a thank you we have to say to Alex Wood for finally throwing a start that we can call good at this time. But, of course, the Giants ultimately wasted it. The 5th and the 6th innings both ended on hard hit balls to the outfield that were caught right near the warning track. In the 6th inning, John Brebbia pitched. He pitched a scoreless inning, although he did need some help from Mike Yastrzemski, who ran back to the warning track and made the catch on a fly ball or line drive that went right to the wall. So that's how the 5th and the 6th innings both ended, on a hard hit balls that were really scary, threatened to do some damage, but the Giants' defense was right there to keep them out of it and get kind of a free out on real hard contact that went very deep into the outfield. So that's how they survived up until that point. It was tied. Then after the 6th inning, in the top of the 7th inning, Austin Wynn singled in a run to make it 2-1. And I kind of wonder, I was listening to KNBR, I just didn't stay on long enough to catch the end of the challenge. So he had hit a ball that Cooper Hummel tried to make a catch on. He ran into foul territory, but it was called a foul, and the Giants contended that he had touched the ball in fair territory, in which case it would be a fair ball. And I don't exactly get, so was that call overturned, or did Wins just hit another fly ball to Hummel that became a base hit? I don't know. I didn't see anything on the game feed looking back in it that would indicate that any challenge went differently, but there was no challenge mentioned at all. So I'm sorry I didn't catch whether Wynn's fly ball came on something that he hit after that foul ball, or whether the foul ball was overturned to be a fair ball. But anyway, Austin Wynns, he found the spot with his bat somehow that he could hit something and bring in a run for the Giants, and that was with 2 outs too. They started with a runner on second. It was a walk to Yermin Mercedes, then a wild pitch. Mercedes moved over to second, and you know what you're thinking in those times. Okay, when there's a runner on second with nobody out, I don't care if it's a sacrifice fly or RBI ground out or whatever, but you cannot score no runs. You have to score something. However, that chance for a sacrifice, whatever, was over after the Giants got 2 outs and Austin Wynns was up. And then you're like, okay, they've still got to score, runner in scoring position with 2 outs, but then Austin Wynns, he came through, he got a hit, and the Giants scored and got ahead 2-1. That was the score that they should have won by. And Tyler Rogers, he pitched well in the bottom of the 7th. He's still an effective late-inning arm. Then in the top of the 8th inning, the Giants had 2 outs with 2 runners on base, so you would look at that and think, okay, another good opportunity to score, but it didn't happen there. The next batter struck out, and the 8th inning was over for the Giants. And then you got to that spot, the bottom of the 8th inning, the point at which you'd have to say, okay, the Giants have to win this one, and this is not an option. Dominic Leone came in. He promptly gave up a single. Then he struck a batter out. Then he gave up another single. After that, he threw a wild pitch that allowed the D-backs to score and tie the game. And that is just sad when you lose a run off of a wild pitch. And it is sadder still when the run that you lose is the run that you were clinging to win the game by, and it ties the game. But it was a wild pitch. It's just a pitch that Leone couldn't command that tied the game at 2. I mean, he was struggling with something, command or just basic stuff or whatever. I think there were like 2 or 3 walks, so I would tend to say that combined with the wild pitch indicates that it was a really poor command night for Leone. But anyway, that is just, you lose your lead that way. That is just hard to swallow in. We just can't continue to watch this stuff happen. But that was a game the Giants needed to win, and this is an unacceptable loss because after Leone threw the wild pitch, he loaded the bases, then he came out and Camilo Doval came in, and he gave up a sacrifice fly. Sometimes that is kind of semi beyond the pitcher's control. I kind of get giving up a sacrifice fly because it's hard to always prevent contact that brings in a run when it gets an out. But that did put the Diamondbacks ahead. After that, though, Doval gave up a 3-run home run. And I'm just, the least I can say about that is you've got to be able to expect your closer to generally be better than that, because Doval's outing before this one, he actually made an error in the 9th inning and then gave up the hit that won the game for the White Sox. So he has just not been his best. He's the closer, which means that basically we have to expect him to be better if he is going to continue in that role. It's just the way it is when you're a team who is in such a desperate need of wins that it's inexpressible. But that was the way it went in this game. And you kind of wonder, after Dominic Leone had 1 out and he had given up 2 singles, so there were 2 runners on base, one of them, I believe, on third base, should he have stayed in the game even at that point? Or even maybe after the wild pitch and it was 2-2, you see, okay, Leone doesn't really have it. I mean, he had to finish pitching to that batter, obviously, but after he walked him, I guess there was just 1 walk in the game, because, yeah, that would mathematically load the bases at that point. But after Leone walked that batter, he came out of the game, but you wonder if in the original situation of having 1 out and 2 runners on base, should he have come out and maybe, say, Jake McGee come in? I mean, I'm not here suggesting going to Camilo Doval at that point, because we know now that Doval didn't pitch well yesterday. Of course, Gabe Kapler could not have known that. It likely wouldn't have changed anything. Doval gave up a home run, so he was vulnerable, unless he would have gotten a double play or something before facing the hitter he gave up a home run to. So we can say a lot of what-ifs here. But, I'm just wondering, would it have been different if, say, Jake McGee had come in at that point? That's the thing we'll never know now. We just know that this was a game that the Giants needed to win. It was an unacceptable loss here. And it's a 40-win, 39-loss record. You're ahead 2-1 in the 8th inning, and you've just lost 5 games. You've got to win instead of losing your 6th game. And, in my baseball economy, the one and only definition of a successful season is making the playoffs. Just remember that. This was Giants Baseball 101. Please subscribe to this channel if you have not. I say that every time because it is so important. Also, if you would like to email me, please do so at gabrielvaughn89@gmail.com. And we'll see when these frustrations end. The Giants need to play better, and until then, I'm going to use my new greeting for Giants Baseball 101 that you heard me use today. Thank you for watching, though. I'll see you next time on Giants Baseball 101.